If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option, as Sori says. $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at villageXchange@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Shout out to the Dead End Collective from Ireland.
Shout out.
Shout out indeed.
A sorry teen? What's that? What is that?
Sorry teen?
Yeah.
Or Teen Sorry?
No, sorry teen. Like
Sorrentine? 17?
Okay. Dream Theater on the Backs of Angels. That's an interesting title. Time to catch our breath a bit and listen to one of Vin's favorite bands. Look, he put this little smiley. Look at his face.
Oh, I know.
Dream Theater on the Backs of Angels. Let's go.
All right, here we go. On the Backs of Angels, here goes Dream Theater, one of my favorite bands of all time. Let's go. That is a cool thingamajig. Is that the lyrics?
running now. We are selling our formula officially. It's amazing stuff from Europe.
Made in Germany. Sold in America.
Highest standards there are. In America, the standards haven't been updated since 1980. It's super weird, like older than me. In Europe, they update safety standards basically every year. This formula is top notch, great for the stomach, great for constipation. This is a great product. If you happen to want to purchase it and join us on our journey, then grab the link in the description. If you do and leave a review for us, send me a screenshot at vinandsori@gmail.com of your review after you have received the product. We will put your name in a hat. Song reviews are going to come out by some of the people that have left reviews. Don't forget to send us a screenshot of your review once you get the product. Now a word from our mascot dressed as a pirate, Fuji.
Ah! It's a deal of a deal.
That was Dream Theater
On the backs of angels.
On the backs of angels. You know, the phrase is we're standing on the shoulders of giants. That's the phrase. On the
right.
That's really interesting. Those metaphors, because when you hear we're standing on the shoulders of giants, it doesn't sound very exploitative. It sounds like you're small and you need to be helped up. But when you say like this person put the team on their back, that more has a connotation. It's different. The connotation is different. Like that guy did it and the team was just
like labor.
Yeah, exactly.
A small person on the top of a giant is not laborious.
Yeah,
like,
on the shoulder is like the shoulder is like uplifting. The back is just like straight labor. So that's an interesting little nuance in the language. But he's saying on the backs of angels. So to me, this is a exploitative relationship.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? Like if you're saying we're standing on the shoulders of giants, what you're saying is these people in their time period, they did their thing, and we're doing our thing, but we're recognizing that we couldn't do our thing if they didn't do their thing. But when you're staying on the back of someone, it's almost purely exploitative. It's like, oh, you earned this money on the back of all this cheap labor over there. You know what I'm saying? So the relationship seems to be more about exploitation. Shout out to DJ AT. More about exploitation than, progression, which the other metaphor does. So, and then angels here to me is like talks about the moral character of the person that it's happening to. Like this is a good person that you're basically using. You're standing on the back of this angel. Yeah.
But it says destined to create. Don't you think that's
mounting the attack while heroes carry your weight? Right? So like you and like that could be in the ancient world, and we kind of saw this in the book that we were reading. Originally the gods created human beings to be a slave labor force on this planet. Like one idea was to mine gold and all the rest of it. Like that was you were there basically as a labor force for the gods.
Wait, I must have missed that part. Who said that?
Yeah, that was an ancient understanding of why human beings were created.
So like we'll all be trolls?
They were like a labor force for the gods, or slaves to the gods. Basically.
Yeah, but like isn't it like trolls? They mine in the concept of like this mythical troll that mines gold. Like that's what we all were supposed to be. Well, according to that idea.
Yeah, I mean they didn't mix those metaphors, but yeah, that was the idea. You were a slave labor force for the gods. So it could be. I mean, I doubt that that's where he's going. But when he says destined to create, mounting the attack while heroes carry your weight, it just seems to me like these are people who, these are the users in the world. Like, and whether it's government or whatever, it's like they've used all these people and then they end up getting all the credit or whatever. So they're out there in front getting all this credit and adulation when in reality they got it from the labor of other people, right?
Yeah, I understand that. Well, when he says content to feed off the machine, who or what is the machine?
Riding out the wave, content to feed off the machine, bleeding us to death, the new American dream. Well, this to me is talking about politicians. I think to me like the most... Because I looked at the date, I'm like 2011.
Is machine, is that like the government?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and feeding off of that, you're blinded by your hunger, beware your days are numbered. And then it talks about, lambs to the slaughter, guide me to the edge of the water, selfless are the righteous. Like,
oh, right here. We're on to your agenda, the dead end road to nowhere.
There is this movie, I
I think it was called Lambs Among Lions, I think was the name of the movie. It had Tom Cruise in it. Let me see. That movie was pretty interesting. Let me see. Lambs Among Lions, Tom Cruise. Yeah, it must have been Lambs Among Wolves. It could have been. It's a Tom Cruise. No, Lions for Lambs. There it is. Lions for Lambs. It was in 2007 when that song came out. And it was basically focusing on these soldiers who died. It was 2 soldiers and they were surrounded.
It's a movie, not a song. Go ahead.
There were two soldiers and they were surrounded. And, they end up dying in the movie. But it just shows you, like, these guys were pure. They were good because they fought for each other type of thing. They were pure.
For friendship.
Meanwhile, in Washington, all the politicians are talking about what should happen in the war and all the rest of it. And, but meanwhile, these guys are actually doing the thing. And it was just a crazy contrast. That's why it says, lions for lambs. Because, like, the lions were actually the people on the battlefield, and the lambs were, basically exploiting the lions in that way. So
is that, like,
content to feed off the machine, bleeding us to death. So there's economic policies that do that, but obviously our foreign policy and our policy of war is the same. What were you saying?
No, keep going.
The tears fall from the shameless, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water, selfless or the righteous, burden me, lead me like a lamb to the slaughter. Blurring lines drawn in between what is right and what is wrong, victims on the radar string us along. There it is
I was going
again.
to say, remember you used to talk about redemptive value? Like if there was anything redemptive about it. So for instance, war is just the concept of killing and gaining, and you know what I mean? But then you have these two guys that are in there, and in the midst of that violence, like there's this brotherhood. And so there's something redemptive that was in it, something good that was in it. Those other people that are fighting for land or fighting for oil or fighting for material things. Like, it's hard to find a whole lot of good in there, especially when there's so much. You can't kill a bunch of innocent people to make your life more convenient with the oil. Like, we can't, that's not right. You can, but I'm saying it's not right. But if you're out on the field and you're fighting, like, violence is not a good thing. But the brotherhood aspect of, like, what they gained on that field. You see what I'm saying? Like, remember you used to talk about when something has redemptive value? Or
No, I see what you're saying, but what are you talking about? How does that relate to the song?
Oh, just because when you're talking about, you just brought up that story of Lions for Lambs, and you were saying how the two men were out on the field and, like, they were fighting for each other, and everybody back there was just making everybody go and get slaughtered and whatever. Like, so I was just saying, like, oh, that's that. It was actually supposed to be like a little, like, hey, like, redemptive value, but it kind of got big and long. So.
Gotcha.
Anyway.
There's so many applications to this template. Like, you have the really nasty person who is in proximity to a very good and giving person. And unfortunately, the minute a bad person sees a person that's generous, they automatically think, oh, this is a sucker. This is somebody I'm going to, whatever. And again, it has so many applications, whether you're talking about being on the streets, whether you're talking about politics, even in family relationships. There are certain family members who, like, I'm avoiding for a time because this is their mentality. It's just take. And it's interesting because it says tears fall from the shameless. Like, they know what they're doing is wrong. They know that they're exploiting somebody. But they cry about it, but they have no intention of changing. That's what it says, tears fall from the shameless, because the crying there has nothing to do with actual, like, deep change of the person's heart. It's crying to, it's shameless crying because you're going to do the exact same thing again. So it's almost shameless. And then what are you crying for? Well, it's manipulation, obviously, because you know that this person is so giving and generous that if you turn on the waterworks, then they're going to be distracted from what the fuck you did, and then the cycle gets repeated. So, like, this is actually a very well-written song, and I usually don't like Dream Theater, but this could be, like, on the macro level, like, you could talk about politics, geopolitics, you could talk about how religions do this, and it can also get whittled down to interpersonal, like, two people literally having this kind of toxic relationship where one person is always carrying the other person and the other person's always exploiting the relationship and then drops in a sorry here and there or as Waldo says, crocodile. I mean, I don't know about crocodile tears in the sense that like they're fake. I think they're real tears, but I think the meaning behind the tears are completely different than what you would expect. So if somebody's crying in that situation, it may be genuine. They may genuinely just be crying for themselves, and then they can vocalize, oh, I'm crying because I'm sorry for you. They're really not sorry. They're crying for themselves. The deception comes in when they say that they're crying because they feel so bad that they did XYZ thing. But if you watch their behavior, the behavior doesn't change. So that's why it talks about tears fall from the shameless. I think it's a lot like human beings are so complex, it's amazing. Selfless are the righteous. And that's one of like there's people in the world that like constantly get taken advantage of. And I always say to myself, like, if you're somebody who's constantly being taken advantage of, then maybe you should look at yourself and see what's going on with you. Like, you got to look at yourself and be like, how am I being read like this? And if everybody, and obviously it's highly unlikely that everybody in your life is taking advantage of you. But if you feel that everybody's taking it, and trust me, I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying you got to look and say, what am I doing or what am I projecting to people that makes it so that I'm constantly in this situation where I'm being taken advantage of?
Well, yeah, I think that there's a difference between, if when the person says it themselves, when they say, okay, like, wait, am I doing anything that's causing this or that action to happen to me?
Right.
Instead of somebody else being like, well, this is your fault because you're
Right.
such a giving person.
Right.
Like, that's not for the person that's done the wrong to even point out or say. But if you want to I think that we should, like, everybody should do that for any situation like that. So when it comes up, you're like, okay, how did we end up in this situation? Anyway.
Yeah, but we're on to your agenda, the dead end road to nowhere. Like, yeah, at some point, I think that's the way to do it, is to call the person out and say, we're on to your agenda. And, that...
When he says, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water, what do you think he was... That was right after he says, tears fall from the shameless. Shelter
I think
me,
it's the manipulative nature of those types of relationships, because that's how you in order to take advantage of somebody long term, there's got to be some give and take. And so, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water, like that's what they do. They'll do things that are loving and caring, because if they were horrible to you all the time, then you get away from them. Right? Like, so there's got to be some benefit. And if you think about, like, when you talk about lamb to the slaughter, when you think about it, it's like you have this relationship with this animal. And if the animal could, if the animal could talk, and you say, how do you feel about Farmer Jim? Oh, Farmer Jim's awesome. He takes care of my wool, blah, 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 blah. He feeds me when I'm hungry. He guides me to the water. Meanwhile, the entire reason he's doing that is because he's fattening you up for slaughter, which is that's how people are. Like, they'll guide you to the water, they'll take care of you, blah, 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 because they know they're going to need to make a withdrawal from you at some point. And so they'll lead you to the edge of the water.
I thought he was saying tears fall from the shameless because the other person was, like, crying. And then it says, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water. I thought it was the other person that was crying, then, making themselves like a victim. Like, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water. Like, I need your help. Saying that to the person that they actually should be apologizing to. And then he says, selfish are the righteous, because he views himself, I guess, to be the righteous one that's going to keep helping in these situations. And he's so selfless that when they say, shelter me, guide me to the edge of the water, they jump right back into helping them. Burden me, lead me like a lamb to the slaughter.
Yeah. To me, they're both... I mean, that's why I said it's a well-written song, because it could be looked at either way. To me, that's been my experience with people, so that's how I look at it. Is like, there's always these cycles of, I'm going to take advantage of you, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to cry. Then I'm going to be nice for a little while, and then we're going to do the same exact thing over and over again and go in a cycle. So I am interpreting it that way, but that doesn't mean that that's wrong either. It could very well be that, which is why I said this is a very well-written... I like this song, even for a Dream Theater song. They didn't go with like a 3-minute interlude of "look how good I am." Like, it's just 3 minutes of like 7,000 notes. Ingwe Malmsteen shit. Like, I get it. You're a guitar virtuoso. Thank you. But this song didn't have a lot of that. It was probably 30 seconds too long, but you know, who's counting? I'm just being a jerk relative to Dream Theater.
Prague.
So yeah, I give this song a solid 8.8. 8.8.
I had this one in at an 8.7, and the song definitely changed. Like, it had multiple transitions. There were some of them that I didn't like, and some of them I really liked a lot. Yeah, vocal style is not.
What about the vocal style?
Well, I'm thinking for a second if I just got it mixed up between this song and the last one, because I did. Which one was the one that was like? Is this the one that kind of sounded like Death? And this one didn't sound like that, right? This
No.
one was more singy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it confused with that other one. Yeah. Okay, so I did like the vocal style of their singing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8.7. 8.7.
All right, 8.8.
Okay, no, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. It's an 8.7 for, like, sound-wise, but I'm going to bump it to a 9 because I think that the lyrics are good and important, because I think it's easy to find yourself as either the person that's constantly being taken advantage of, or the person that's always taking advantage. I think it's more difficult to stay in that balanced place in the middle. And so I think some people are more inclined to be more like the slaughtered ones, and other people are more inclined to be the slaughterers. And but I think all of us have to be conscious of this. And I think that I think it's an important song. So 9 even.
All right, there you have it, dear listener. 8.8 for me, 9 even for her. But what's most important is that we have another song coming for you at the other side of the break. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Gone. Shout out to big homie Ben. He's some bangers, boy.